Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Monday Night Live. Rangers now know their European opponents. We'll have some updates on transfer stuff, I suppose you could say, and everything else in between. And who better to join me than Kenny himself? Kenny, how are you, mate? You well?
I'm not bad, mate. Yep. Working today, usual. Try to get on in this heat. It's not easy. But aye, looking forward to this week.
Yeah, it is. It's still warm, isn't it? Good evening to everybody in the chat. Good evening to everybody watching. A sad news today, football-wise. Kevin Keegan passing, somebody that I loved growing up, watching his Newcastle side, Tino Asprilla, Les Ferdinand, Shearer. And then there was the midfield, Batty. He had big Philippe Albert, didn't he? That famous game where they battered Man United 5-0, and that Albert chip over Schmeichel will live long in my childhood memories. I remember, I think it was a Monday Night Live game, and watching that. But a very sad day for football, Kenny. Kevin Keegan, of course, back-to-back winner of Ballon d'Or, wasn't he? So, and the only Englishman to ever do it. So he really was a fantastic guy. Real shame.
Yeah, really sad news. And for anybody, any club that's associated with, particularly Newcastle, because he's got a real association down there with that club. And yeah, I heard Lee Clark on TalkSport earlier on, and he was absolutely genuinely devastated. Sad loss, and Newcastle will be in mourning, mate, because he is like a god down there. And listen, cancer, we've all went through this, mate. We all know cancer's a killer, and it's that bastard disease is the way I would call it. But I've had my own experiences with it, with family and stuff like that, as you know, mate. But I actually feel really sad about this because I'm old enough to remember him play, Stevie, and he was a phenomenal football player, just a fantastic player. And it'll be a big loss. And 75 these days is not old. Just 6 weeks ago, we got told he had cancer, mate, and he's away, and it's very, very sad. And as I say, for me, it just touches a raw bone. Cancer affects all of us, and it's a horrible disease.
Yeah, it certainly does. Condolences to Newcastle Football Club, Kevin's family, and everyone that knew him. Let's move on with the show. Huge thanks to our sponsor, CBD Oil Scotland. This is your last chance. If you go onto their platform and use the code for lads, you will get 30% off all the items, and you'll be entered into the draw for hospitality against West Ham on Sunday. It's a £400 prize. I think your hospitality is up in the club deck in the CSD lounge. So a brilliant prize. Also to our sponsors, Candid, LBJ Consultants, Elite Scooter Scotland, Metaclad, our official roofing partners, and Aesthetics by Sharon, who you can also get a 10% discount with by quoting for lads. Kenny, Rangers have beat. See, as soon as I seen this draw, how do you pronounce that? I just don't know. And I knew you would be giggling away thinking Stevie's going to butcher this tonight. So Rangers have been drawn against Jagiellonia Baliostikov of Poland.
No idea. Jagiellonia, I think it is, yeah. But the second word, I'm not even going to try and pronounce myself, mate. But Polish mob is what I would say.
Yeah, and unfortunately for us, they're a good Polish mob. They finished third in the Polish league, only 4 points behind the winners. Decent European pedigree. Playoff round of Conference League last season, they lost 5-4 to Fiorentina. They got to the quarters the season before, losing 3-1 to Real Betis on aggregate. We're away the first leg, home second leg. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, Kenny. I remember we draw Legia Warsaw under Steven Gerrard, didn't we? And it was a late header from Alfie that put us through. I think in Steven's second season, it was a Jordan Jones cross. So we know that the Poles are going to be resilient. They're going to be difficult to beat. You don't get easy ties anymore, do you? I'm not sure they'll be looking forward and thinking that we're a good draw for them anyway. And we certainly don't think they're a good draw for us, although ironically people were saying it's the best draw we could have had, so it shows you the level of draw that was in there, mate.
I didn't mean to sound disparaging when I called my mom, but it was just more about the name than anything else. It's just one of those things that you're absolutely spot on. I always remember Walter Smith saying this many years ago, that there's no Scottish team has any right to take any draw for granted. We've got no real huge status in the game anymore when it comes to teams like this either, Stevie, and they will be very similar in level to the likes of Legia. And if you remember, a few years later we played Lech Poznan. They'll be that kind of level, mate. If they've won the league 2 years ago, they finished, I think it was third last year, third or fourth last year, third this year. They're obviously a top Polish side, and you don't get bad Polish sides. We know this. They'll be big, strong, efficient, powerful, everything you get from an Eastern European side. And I think they've got a decent sized stadium and they've been filling it out, mate. So it's going to be an intimidating game away from home. The Poles make a lot of noise, so better that we play them away first, obviously, because you know what you've got to do in the home game. But the games start thick and fast immediately, Stevie. So that is not an easy test at all. Dundee United and them are away there, so it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it probably helps us that Dundee United's on the Friday night now, and then have to travel to Poland the week after, then Hibs at home, and then the Poles again the week after. I think who do we have third? Is it St Mirren away?
It is, yes. It's St Mirren. Yeah.
Listen, that's a hell of a tough start for Rangers when you consider a lot of travelling in there. There's a lot of work to be done in the squad still, we know. So that's not good. Kenny Rangers do get back to action at Ibrox this week. Wednesday night against St Etienne, and then Sunday against West Ham is a big build-up, isn't it, till a week Friday where we do go to Tannadice. What are you expecting out of these games?
More minutes in the legs and make sure we're ready for a week on Friday now, Stevie. The league's not far away, and that we just need to make sure that what we do is, what Derek McInnes does, is show us what he's all about to a certain degree in the first couple of games there, because they're exciting games and they're tough games, Stevie. Results in the main aren't all that important, but we have to see what Derek McInnes is all about and what he's going to do with this team. We kind of know the shape we think that he's going to start with, and it'll be interesting to see how the pre-season has progressed. That's for me. It's always nice to get back to Ibrox, isn't it, and sit down and watch them, and it'll be interesting to see the kind of the new players first. For me, I'll be interested to see how they do, obviously, but it's more about a new era for me, this. So St Etienne on Wednesday night will be an interesting one, because when you get a French side like that, they'll be technical. You've also got West Ham after it, who have got a big, I know they get relegated, mate, but they've got a massive pile of Premier League players that are on an awful lot of money, and they'll have a decent enough side. So it'll be interesting to see how we do against good opposition, but it's all about getting ready for next week here now.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. Oliver Antman spoke about disappointing first season at Ibrox, Kenny. I'm not sure how people are going to react to these words, but he said he didn't realise how big Rangers were. Pressure is on every single game. When things weren't going well, he said he felt beaten to the ground when he made a mistake. You learn from every coach, but the biggest thing is being at this club. Those words, beaten to the ground when he made a mistake, it is an atmosphere at Ibrox, isn't it? Like, it is. I'm not going to say it's toxic, but we expect a lot, we demand a lot. There's a lot of pressure on the players, and that surely, I mean, it actually feel quite sorry for Oliver Antman. There's a part of me that thinks, man up, you've got to be strong enough to play here. I get that, but the other side, for him, you know, it must have been quite the eye opener.
Well, yeah, but it shouldn't be, mate, because he played with Mo Diamandi, and the day he signed, he actually quoted Mo Diamandi telling him that they're huge and you can't drop points here. The demands are unbelievably high. So he shouldn't have been all that surprised. However, I'll give him a little bit of leeway because it is one of those situations where last season, I was with you up in the gantry, mate, the first pre-season friendly, and we were 45 minutes in, and everybody that was there booed him off the park. And that would be an eye-opener for anybody in a friendly, that it's just not acceptable to turn up and play like this in our home. So, yeah, it's difficult to turn around and be overly critical of him for saying these things. But then again, I do feel you should know this. And it to me personally, it goes to the recruitment and how we can get it really quite badly wrong sometimes, where you have to do the due diligence on a player, but you have to prepare the player for the environment he's coming into as well. And I don't know if Rangers have necessarily been doing that. And I do get the feeling that with all the kind of talk this summer, that we've actually identified that as an actual issue in our recruitment, because every single person that we're looking at, you do get the feeling they are making them ultra aware. They're looking for leaders. They're making them aware of the environment they're coming into and stuff like that. So, again, as I say, a young lad for Finland who had played in Holland the season before, I don't know if he should have had a little bit more of an idea of what he was coming into, to be honest, particularly when he's got a teammate there that's telling him you have no idea what you're coming into.
Yeah, I think that's a good point for Andrew. Unfortunately, Russell Martin tobacco had an effect on all the players, yeah. I mean, Ibrox was pretty ferocious. That's the most I've ever seen it. I mean, everybody was dead against Russell Martin straight away, weren't they? And, you know, as Kenny said, that 2-0 half-time at Bruges was a clear indication. Middlesbrough was the same. There was never ever going to be any leeway or give and take. So, yeah, it's a difficult one because we do have demands and we do want players doing well. We do want them to hit the ground running. Maybe we've got to play a bit more of a part in it as well. I definitely think this season, you know, we can expect more off Ollie Antman if he does hang about. More off Gassama and stuff like that. There's no excuses now. They do know what it's like. Even Romans and Chugwani, who've been here 6 months, we should expect more out of them too. So it's going to be interesting. Once it's said and done, you know, by the time the friendly games does come around, Kenny, I still think we need more bodies in. I think we need to do more. But a Rangers career can change rapidly and very quickly. When you look at Barisic, you know, he went on to be a European finalist and pretty decent enough. And there is occasions where players do turn it around, even look massive. If you look at Yusuf Chermati, I mean, he was actually rubbished and written off, and now everybody thinks he's going to get 25 goals this season. So it's wrong to write off anyone, I think, but there is players in that squad who must be feeling the heat as much as, you know, and I'm looking at, you know, Ryan Adiri, Bojan Majovski, Oliver Antman, Jerry Gassama, Toshi Chugwani. I'm looking at these guys and going, you need to perform here. Because see, if they don't, the reality of it is you don't get a lot of time at Rangers. So I think they've not got a lot of time to hit the ground running. And if they don't, I think Derek McInnes will be quite harsh on them. And I think when you look at how Derek McInnes has been with John Souttar, he's come in and just went, no, you're done. I think that's an indication of how he's going to run this football team.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that is what he's going to do. But again, it's something that we spoke of last week, the week before, mate, that you can just tell that Derek McInnes has got a ruthless streak in him. And he was fully aware even the first day he took the job on, where he turned around and said he's fully aware he needs to get results. Otherwise, it'll be somebody else sitting there in his hot seat. So you have to be single-minded, ruthless, whatever other kind of metaphor you want to use for it, but it is just one of those scenarios that I think when you look at somebody like Oliver Antman, for talking sake, you're absolutely right. The player is there. There is talent in there. You don't get the numbers he got the season before last that got him his move here without having something about you. But it goes to even Derek McInnes interview the other day there where he was turning and talking about the Bill's truth line of, I know you're a good player, son, but are you good enough to play for Rangers? And it's not all about talent. It's about mentality and the will to win and being ruthless yourself and making sure that you win at all costs. And unfortunately, as I say, I think our recruitment over the last few years has let us down a little bit with that, where we don't have that ruthlessness about our team at times. We're a little bit too passive, a little bit too timid, and I expect that to change this summer. I really do. I think Derek McInnes has got that bit between his teeth, if you know what I mean with this, and I think he understands what's missing, and I'm sure he's identifying it and rectifying it.
I think he has to, Kenny. I think there has to be a proper leadership, a proper demand from Derek McInnes. I think we will get it. I don't think there's any danger Derek McInnes goes to Motherwell and says that he's happy to accept a point and, it could be vital at the end of the year. I don't see that happening at all. I think that Derek McInnes will be part of the reason they brought him in will be to change that mindset at the football club. And listen, do you know what? I've said it before, and it's really difficult on this show because if you come on and you're super optimistic, there was a guy on last week reminded me that I gave, Russell Martin a chance and stuff. Of course I did. I'm a Rangers fan. I'm going to try and be positive. I'm very positive about Derek McInnes coming in. Kenny, I like him. I'm glad he's here, and I want him to do really well. But the other thing is as well that, at some point, Kenny, somebody's going to have to do well because this needs to stop. I look at Derek McInnes and hope that he can be the Rangers manager for the next 4 years. And that's my hope, that we can get a good run out of him. It's not a 1 year, it's not a 2 year. I'd like to think that Derek McInnes is sitting going, I'm at my dream job now. Maybe Scotland one day for Derek McInnes, and I would understand that in 5-6 years if he wanted to give the national team a shot. I can completely understand that, and maybe that is his natural trajectory. Maybe he could do a Walter and go away for a couple of years after a successful spell at Rangers, do Scotland, and maybe even come back. But that's looking far too far ahead, isn't it? But the point being, I would like to think that Derek McInnes has put his roots down here. This is a job I want to be in. This is a club I want to be at. And as a result, he's going to do everything. So he's not going to allow players to slack off. He's not going to allow them to take things easy. Starting on Wednesday night, he was the one that said, wasn't he, Kenny, that I want to be walking back up that tunnel with a victory. And that's the mindset difference. Last year, we were getting told, we have to win a certain way. No, Derek McInnes in a friendly straight away. I want to be walking up that tunnel with a victory. So I'm really happy that he's here. And there's stuff to be done, but I'm looking forward to what the Derek McInnes era has to bring. And there's been a couple of negative naysayers online from Hearts and stuff saying football will be bad and, and Devlin's this and Devlin's that and all that kind of thing. Well, when they were winning leagues and top of the league last year and everything else, I wasn't seeing many people complain about things. So we just have to take it and run with it. And I think Derek McInnes might do things that we've not seen before, the ugly side of winning, or not seen in a long time, the ugly side of winning and them sort of things. So, yeah, I'm trying to be positive. It's difficult, Kenny. See if we come on here and we're like, so excited and everything else, we get chopped up. People just patiently wait, first defeat, and then on come the comments. Used to wanted him and everything else. It's so difficult, but we're allowed to be positive. We're allowed to look forward to it. And Derek McInnes will certainly get my full backing.
What Derek McInnes says more than anything else, Stevie, now you're old enough to remember this yourself, but Derek McInnes is probably the epitome of that guy that ended up making it to Rangers through nothing but sheer hard work and a little bit of talent. He played in the Championship for years with Morton. That's what he did. He got his move to Rangers and made the very, very most of it. And he was at Rangers at our most successful period in our modern history. So you have to understand that he wasn't a star player. In that he was a good squad player. He played 25, 30 games a season, 25 games a season is kind of what he did. And he, more than anybody at this moment in time, I would suggest to you, is probably fully aware of what it means and what it takes to get Rangers successful, because he wasn't that glamour player. He wasn't a star signing. He was a guy that worked his way through the ranks and got his move and made the opportunity his own. And I mean, I can remember him scoring a fantastic goal against Alania Vladikavkaz, I think it was. And I was up in the Sandy Jardin that night, and it was an absolute peach of a strike. And I think if I remember right, he just come on as a sub and scored it. But the point I'm making about this is that this is why you've got to be positive. You've got a guy there that does understand, first of all, what Rangers, are all about, what it took to make them successful, a really successful era. And he was very much part of it and was aware, and he'd been watching them, that he'd been watching Walter, he'd been watching the Richard Goffs and the Alan McCoys and how they go about things. And that can only stand you in good stead. Now, if it doesn't work, it won't be through lack of trying. That's what people need to get with Derek McInnes. And it's why, as you see, us personally, we are sitting there giving it, well, of course we're going to back him. He's a Rangers man. He's got his dream job. What else do you think we're going to do? Just sit here and ladle into him. And as I say, I remember a few weeks ago when he got the job, getting some amount of pelters because I wasn't jumping through hoops because he got it. And the point I'm making is that we've got to be realistic. We finished third last year. He's got a job on next season, Stevie. The recruitment's going to be vitally important. But if we can get the recruitment right, then we can properly judge him. Because if he doesn't get results, we will be the first to turn around and say, we believe he should have got a result there.
Yeah, I was on Rangers Review on, I think they played it Sunday morning. I think it went out, and we were talking about Derek McInnes, and I'm trying to kind of stay grounded. I'm saying all the things that I've said here. Looking forward to him being in charge. I'm enthusiastic. There's work to be done. I still believe, and this upsets people, but I still believe we're a good 3-4 short of first team starters, and we're a bit more in the squad as well. We need a left back, we need defenders, we still need something in midfield, and we need a wide man pretty quickly. So, I think it's okay to say that, and that's from a team that finished third. So we do have good players, but there's a grounding for me that says, well, we did finish third last year. There's got to be a realism of where we are now. Just because Derek McInnes is here and we've made a few signings, it doesn't going to make us favourites and everything else, and we need to be respectful of that. So I got pelters for saying I was Mr. Misery and everything else, and I'm like, whoa, it's trying to be grounded and find a middle ground. I'm really happy that Derek McInnes is here. I'm really enthusiastic about his hopeful good tenure, so I'm glad he's here. I'm overjoyed at all the signings. Well, I'm willing to give them an opportunity. I still think the quality is still to come, and that's the difference. If we go into the season with this team, I think we'll struggle in games because I just think we're a bit short on quality. We're a very good midfielder who can shoot the ball. If only we knew one and we were linked to him, and a right winger away from being a pretty solid team, and that's where I am with it. Is it perfect? No, but it's pretty good. So, there's stuff we need to do, Kenny, and that brings us to the kind of transfers. Things are starting to move with players going out the door. Danilo is tying up his move to Botafogo. He should go on loan with an option. So we hope that Danny does well and goes out there and does well with that. John Suter's still talking to clubs. That might take a week or so. It might be. Do you remember last season nobody was buying until it got to the end of June and they went into different end of July, and then they went into new season and all that kind of stuff, and it was all to do with wages and everything else. Remember how late teams come in and got players? We might have to accept it that it is like that, possibly for us. Ross McCausland was linked to a move away today. I even took a note of the team at Casa Pia. The Portuguese club, according to Sky Sports, are exploring the conditions of a permanent deal for the Northern Ireland International. He's only got a year left, Kenny. I should imagine a couple of things Rangers won't be difficult to deal with. And with a year left, what are we thinking? 750,000, round about that, for Ross McCausland. Are people going to shout at me because I'm not saying £5 million? But I don't think there's huge money coming in for it. You want £1 million, £1.5 million for John Souttar, 750,000 for Ross McCausland, £1 million maybe. Is that fair?
I think £1 million is absolutely fair for Ross McCausland, and it's not because I don't think he's a half decent player. I think it's final year of his contract and he's surplus to requirements, Stevie. It is that simple. So you have to be fair to the boy himself. You have to be fair to Ross. We brought him over when he was a kid and gave him the opportunity. He's not really managed to take that opportunity, Stevie. He got to get a decent run out under Big Phil Clement for a while, but since then, managers just haven't really taken to him. And I think, for me personally, it's his lack of pace on the wing that has let him, it's a flaw in his game. He doesn't have the pace that I think you need to play there for us more than anything else. But I don't think he'd be too difficult to deal with. John Souttar, I don't think he'd be too difficult, excuse me, to deal with either. I think you'd be looking at it and saying £1 million, £1.5 million is ample. Excuse me, Stevie.
I'll jump in, Kenny. You got a wee glass of water there. Poor boys has a cold the last couple of days, ladies and gentlemen. So let him get a wee refreshment. I think it's key to moving on our players. I think if you can get money in for John Souttar, you can get Danilo moved on. I think if you can get money for Ross McCausland, no matter how small, the boys were saying there in the chat, and I think they're right, that all these wee ones add up, and then all of a sudden, could we then get like a couple of £1 million for Diamande? By a couple, I'm looking for 5-6 million, to be fair, for Mohamed Diamande. Connor Barron, are we going to get money for him? Nico Raskin's a big what if. I'm not sure there was truth in teams. Well, there certainly wasn't truth in Villarreal meeting what Rangers want, because there's been absolutely no comment of that from anywhere. But I think we know where we've got to go. Big Ivor Pandor joined in the training today, so did Cammy Desland. Telo Asgard will be back in midweek. All of a sudden, the squad is quite thick, and we need to trim that down. So there's going to be plenty of movement over the coming weeks, Kenny. We've talked about outgoings for quite a while, but if we could start the domino effect, Souttar goes, Danilo goes, McCausland maybe moves on. Thanks very much, everyone. Could we get Bayrami a new club? Cifuentes will have to be given away to somebody, no doubt. But I just feel like if they could move one or two on, maybe the whole thing will start moving.
I think it has to, Stevie. And I think when we all have to be fair and understand that Rangers have got a job to do with this, because you can't have an overinflated squad. It's just going to cost you money. And you've got a whole heap of players sitting about taking a wage that do nothing. You can't have that. So there comes a point when the loans are away and the likes of James Tavernier and Jack Butland are away. If Souttar and Danilo goes, then you've kind of replaced like for like, numbers-wise, almost to a certain degree. But what you've got to do is turn around and look at that now and say that any major outlay from here, I know that young boy Dragicevic is coming in, but we're looking at that and saying, right, well, we're going to have to start taking bodies out the way. And for me, it's just one of these things that I look at and feel that we all want our business done as quickly as possible. It's more about guys coming in for us and how we're going to look next season. But unfortunately, Jim Gillespie and Derek McInnes can't do that, Dan Purdy. They can't look at it that way. They have to sit there and turn around and cut people effectively. You have to go, and now we're going to help you and your agent find yourself a club, and we'll help you with that. So it takes up time, energy, and everything that you want to do has got to be curtailed to a certain degree, because you've got to actually get people out the door. It's just basic economics and basic facts, Stevie. You can't have 40, 45 players in your squad. It's just not possible. So we've been told, Derek McInnes has told us that we will be active right up to the end of this window. So we have to be patient about it and be realistic and understand, as I say, that the bottom line is that people are going to have to go before certain things can happen.
Yeah, and listen, when we talk about these things, it's all speculation on our behalf because we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know if there is interest in Diamande or Bayrami, or maybe they might even stay. Somebody might end up surprising us that we don't know about, that Derek McInnes manages to get attuned to. What it was interesting was, I thought at the weekend, when we talked about Nico Raskin and talked about a potential move to that Villarreal move, and I think they were talking about it being 20 million euros with a hefty sell on. Here's where I am at, and this might be controversial, and everybody knows how much I like Nico Raskin. I think he's great. I think he's brilliant. And this, I'm going to quantify it a wee bit because people won't like this. See if the fee for Nico Raskin is £20 million, not euros, pounds, and a healthy sell on, I would be taking it. And here's my reasons why. With 2 years left, I think Nico's been a bit stale for Rangers over the last years, and I've defended him. When he plays well, often Rangers play well, and he does get involved. But I think it's the right time for everybody if he was to move on. If he comes back and plays like Belgium in the World Cup and Derek McInnes finds that and we can get him to sign a new deal, of course you want him to stay. But for that kind of money, for a boy like Nico, I think probably it's best for everyone. People then go and shout at me and say, what about the fact that Celtic turned down this and that for Engels? Whether we like it or not, Celtic have got a proven transfer selling record, and unfortunately for us, they've got Champions League football, which means that they can demand a wee bit more and stuff like that. I'm not really interested in what they do over there or getting too involved in that, but it's something that people always throw back at me. Is Nico Raskin a better footballer than Engels? Well, I think he is. Is Nico Raskin worth more than 20, 25 million? In any other league, yeah. But if teams are only going to give you 20 million, Kenny, then that's where I am with it. And I also think, in order for things to move for Rangers, £20 million for Nico Raskin, healthy sale on and stuff like that, then, considering we signed him in £1.5 million, then yeah, I would certainly think that that's a good deal for me. And people are saying about a sell on and stuff like that. I'm not sure if that's true or not. What I would say is we were getting him on a pre-contract. I think we signed him early. We signed him early from a pre-contract. I'm not sure we're putting in that kind of deal, but I don't know. I've not got a definitive answer there. But Kenny, 20 million in a sell on for Nico. I thought I was looking at it logically when I was saying that kind of thing. What do you think?
I don't think he's got a sell. We signed him from Standard Liège. I don't think he's got a sell on that, Stevie. I think
people are talking about it, so we don't know for definite. Though.
But we don't. But at the same time, Stevie, he had 4 months left of his contract. We've paid a lot of money for 4 months of a contract, so I wouldn't imagine we had that. And apart from that, if I recall right, he's already signed an extension to this deal, which might actually negate any kind of sell on as well. So we don't know. I'm kind of guessing here, but he did have this extra year clause that we had. So I'm not convinced that necessarily they would be entitled to any money, but time will tell. However, when it comes to Nico Raskin and 20 million, I actually think £20 million is a fair price for him. I do. If Celtic were to get more than that for Engels, then all you can say is, well done you, because Nico Raskin's a better player. He's in the Belgian squad for a reason, and Engels isn't. And they're different types of players, so don't get me wrong. But the point I'm making here about this would be, frankly, we need our player trading model to work. It's not working at this minute in time. And whether we like it or not, and I don't think Celtic's player trading model is perfect by any stretch, but they've had far more success at it than we have over the last 10 years, Stephen. There's no escaping that. They've managed to get good money for certain players. So
the thing with that, though, Kenny, is, though, and I agree with you, but they bought a hell of an amount of guff. But because they've signed or sold the big ones, you don't get talked about. But some of the ones that they've bought are honking. Like,
I totally agree. But what I'm saying is that the ones that they've sold for big money, Stevie, have actually went on and been okay in those bigger leagues. That's the issue that we have at this moment. Our major signing there, major sell on, was Calvin Bassey, and unfortunately he went to Ajax and didn't do particularly well, so we didn't get that benefit of any kind of sell-on on that, so we don't have any proven track record on it. He's been fantastic for Fulham, Calvin Bassey, absolutely phenomenal player down there, and he's grown up and been fantastic, but we don't see the benefit of that because we didn't get that player trading part of that correct, because he personally, I thought he chose the wrong club. Actually, I thought Ajax was a strange move for him. But to go back to Nico, yeah, I agree with you. In another league, Stevie, you would be looking at 30 million probably for Nico Raskin. You know, you look at Tielemans, he's had every bit as good a World Cup as Tielemans, but Tielemans is an Aston Villa player, and they're talking about 30 million for him to move on. So
no, he's left. He signed for Man U for 80 odd million.
Was it 8? No, I'm not thinking Tielemans then. Who am I thinking of? Belgian player. They're talking about going for 30 midfielder. Can't remember who it is now then. But the point being that we just don't have that proven track record, Stevie. So 20 million is good for us. And it would allow us to do a lot of different business. Situation with Nico will play itself out. But I personally would disagree with you in saying that if he turns up and, you know, we're going to get that player at Belgium, I'd still move him on. I think we have to progress this player trade model, Stevie.
So guys are saying in the comments, thank you. Tielemans went for a release clause of 35, 38 million. I must have looked at it. Man United must have signed somebody else, because I'm sure it said 80 million they'd spent, and I just thought it was on Tielemans. So fair enough, he went for 30 odd million. So no, people are also saying maybe you're thinking of Onana, the centre half or the centre midfielder.
Could be. I read it somewhere the other day, and I can't remember who it was.
That's right. Man United have signed Santos as well. So yeah, that's where I've got the 80 million odd in my head. Kenny, coming in just to allay fears a wee bit. Vanya Dragojevic, that deal's done. The only thing we're waiting on is the boy's visa to come in. I've had lots of texts. Is it today? Is it today? Is it today? Well, if anyone's seen his godmother's post, I think it was on social media, with him with a cake, number 22 as well, which was interesting. That'll be done. Barring it's never done until it's done, until the scarves above the head. But it just shows you there's a lot of outlets out there who want to be first. You know, there was people saying he was here and he was over and stuff like that. We said on Friday morning it was advanced talks, and that's exactly where it is. Until it's done, it's done, and we can just wait. But Dragojevic, Vanya Dragojevic, can you imagine the night that we play that Polish team, me having to pronounce him? See if he scores against them. Vanya Dragojevic has just scored against. I have to look at it. Jagiellonia Ballystokov. Can you imagine me on the gantry, mate? I'll be tongue-tied and all sorts. But he will be coming in for a fee we believe to be around about £5 million, and a big contract, 4 years, I believe they're talking about as well. So that one's going to be done and dusted in the coming days. I don't think there's any real need to stress or worry about that. It's a visa issue. These things do take time, and I suppose for Rangers it's a bit frustrating. But when you think about it, you know, the reason we know about it is because the media over there broke it, not our side. And we just have to wait for it. But we're getting a player that was once valued at 15 million. I think we're getting him cheaper because they're in a wee bit of financial strife. He's going to be in the door. He's a specialised six. He's been captain of Partizan, albeit I think by default a wee bit he was given it. But all that, it points to being a positive transfer, Kenny, and it's one that Rangers do have to do now and feel like they need it right now.
Yeah, I think he's been when I say the number one priority, I think the number one priority in the midfield all summer, hasn't he? They've really decided they want to kind of pin this boy down, and they believe that he's going to do a really good job for us, and he's one for the future as well, because at 20 years old, you're buying a load of potential. You clearly you see something in this kid. And with stuff like this, you've got to trust the recruitment team and say that whatever they see about him, and it's a big move for the boy. He's coming from Serbia to Scotland, two totally different, environments to come and, live in for a start, never mind play in. But I'm quite excited by this because I can't say I know huge amounts about the player. I've done we talk about this every week now, but I've done the reels, I've done the YouTube reels. He looks a fine player. However, the thing that I really like about him is that everything I've looked into about him is he plays forward all the time, Stevie. That's what he does. He tries to play forward all the time. And that's quite exciting because how often have we watched our back four in midfield play square balls across from side to side for far too long? So getting players in that aren't going to do that is really essential for me. And again, I'm looking at that and saying we've identified a specialised position in the number 6. That's what we're looking at, and I'm quite excited about it that we've actually addressed that for the first time in a few years.
And then there's the one, isn't there? The one that everybody's talking about, the one that everybody's going on about, and that is Jens-Hjerto from Tromsø, isn't it? So, where are we on that? I'll tell you all I know, folks, and I don't know a lot, and I try and give only what I believe is good information to be updated with. And I believe that Rangers went in with a bid. It was not back. The player wants to come here. He's publicly spoken about wanting to come to Rangers. He's publicly also spoken about the need to wait for a bit. He's playing. He's doing well at this moment. I genuinely think there's a wee bit of we'll move on this guy first before we come and get you. There was rumours today on social media that Rangers are putting a new bid. I think there was rumours on follow. People were sending me messages from guys that are well known on there saying that Rangers are advancing. I really hope that's true. I watched them score an absolute cracker on Saturday right into the top corner. And I've always been one, and people will know how I feel, and I'm always just like, look, we need to wait and see how it goes. Try not get up nor down. Then I seen that goal, and I thought to myself, right, I can't hold on for this boy any longer. He does look the real deal. Can you imagine if we actually got somebody that had the ability? And this is what I talk about something different in midfield. And I get into trouble because I say that we're not quite ready, but I genuinely feel like you go and put somebody like that and the ability to shoot like that, Kenny, get a right-hand sided winger. We're looking not bad. And I must admit, I was quite excited when he piled that one in the top corner. I just thought to myself, right, up the road. Because I remember watching a guy in Derek McInnes's team called George Alberts. You might remember him, Kenny, and he had a habit of using his left foot to do something similar. And I genuinely, and then I started thinking to myself as I go, Pamela's talking to me, asking me if I'm all right, and I'm a bit quiet, and I say, aye, I'm fine. And she says, what's wrong with you? And really in my head, I don't have the heart to tell her that I'm trying to think of the last midfielder that we've had that can score from midfield like that. And I've been quiet for 20 minutes because it takes me a while, Kenny, old age and all that. But I don't remember the last midfielder we had that can kick the ball like that. Because even Gerrard's teams, your Davises, your Kamaras, your Jack, they could hit the odd one, but a regular threat like that from midfield, I cannot remember the last time that we had a guy like that. And if this boy, this is why they're signing him, and this is the kind of stuff he could go, yeah, that's quite nice to me.
The player that instantly came to mind talking about a serious goal threat from outside the box was Pedro Mendes. For me, he's probably the last real proper absolute threat that we had.
And he only scored 4 goals for Rangers, I believe, 3 or 4. So Tillman is a great shout as being that kind of player, maybe more a 10, a proper 8, Kenny. I think it's back to those days of George and Gio. Gio could hit them.
He could, aye. This boy really, really excites me. He does. We've discussed him at length now, and you know, I've watched a few things on social media over the last couple of days, and you know, the absolute cheek of your average Rangers fan just quoting Rangers Twitter and just get this done now. That's enough of this. Just get it done. Get it done. Get it done. And I can understand why people are really excited, because I am myself. This kid looks a little bit special. Now it's different. It's going to take him a while. He's only he's just a baby, mate. He's only 20. He's going to come from a different country and a different environment, different football entirely, from Norway to Scotland. So it will take him time to settle in and bed in. Same with the young boy Dragijevic. It will take him a while, but the potential in the two of them is just like exciting. That's the thing. And we have sat there, you more than anybody else on Rangers Podland, have been turning around and saying for about 18 months, our midfield's not right. There's something not right. Something doesn't work in it. And it's going by the rumours that you know, whether it's Dragijevic, whether it's Cammy Devlin coming in, Daniel coming in, whether it's Dahl coming in, even Lewis Ferguson's the other, you know, link that won't go away. It's been identified, hasn't it, that we have an issue in midfield. There is no question that the club itself has looked at it and went, right, we need to rip this up and get this done properly, which is exciting again.
Yeah, I mean, if they brought in, or they're going to bring in 4 midfielders, when you think about Devlin, Neil, Dragijevic and Dahl, if that happened, 4 midfielders is a pretty big indication that maybe we did get it right when we were saying there was something not right in there. But the thing with that is that, you know, that does mean that your Camerons, your Asgars, your Bairamis, your Diamandis, your Raskins, there's a lot of work in there to be done. And with them 4, where does that leave Chukwani? You know, we know that Derek McInnes plays a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1. He's fond of 2 in midfield. He's not fond of 3. So it's going to be interesting to see. There's a lot of players that need to go out in there. And still need a right winger. We still need left back. We were linked again to James Penrice today for 2.1 million, which, excuse me, if you're giving me 2.1 million for James Penrice, then I think that'd be no bad deal, to be honest with you. You would take that. He would be good for Romans as well, because I'm still slightly concerned about Romans' fitness. Even though he looks great, he wasn't overly available at all times. So there's still so much to be done, Kenny, and so much to talk about as well in the coming weeks.
We need that. We definitely do need cover at left back, particularly if young Ashton Scally is going on loan. And I still think Ashton Scally's got physically, he's got to become a man. And is he ready for first team football? Probably not just yet. So they'll probably put him out on loan. So we need a left back. We're still short at centre half, Stevie. There's no escaping that. We are short at centre half. We need a right winger. Depending on, you know, Finlay Curtis is going to be there. Jerry Kasama seems to be playing on the left a lot. Finlay on the right. You know, Oliver Antman, if he's playing at all, is on the left. So we depending on what happens with Antman and Gassama, we could need more than one winger. And so we're still 4, for me, we're still 3-4 short, no doubt about it. It's just one of these things that I look at and think we've got a number of positions that we still need to strengthen, don't we? And it's just one of those things that, again, we're going to have to be patient. It's that simple. We have to be patient about it.
Thank you, Kenny, for ad-libbing there. Pamela's wee dog, I don't know if you can see him. He's just right at, you can see his wee head there, right there. He was crying at the door to come in. So I didn't want anybody to hear him crying, and so I brought him in. So I apologise for skipping away there. Thought Stevie was off there. Sorry, mate, not such luck.
I remember doing that in one of our first shows, mate, and you howling with laughter at me.
It was so funny. Didn't you just get up and go for a cigarette?
No, I didn't do that, mate. I think I was in the
You
kitchen
were
at the time.
weren't you? Aye.
Aye, and
Tracy was looking for
Tracy was coming in,
cigarettes or
and
something.
I was in
Aye,
the
that was
kitchen,
it.
come in here.
That was it. The good old glory days. Folks, we are going to end it there. Kenny and I are back tomorrow at 7 p.m. The Wednesday show is not going to happen this week because we'll be at the St Etienne game. So we'll be back tomorrow, and then we will most likely be back on Thursday, possibly as well, because we're not on Friday. Because, well, there might still be a show Friday, but the boys will be at the 442 bar, Scotty Arfield's bar. It's our live show. So just a wee bit of news instead of ahead of that one. So for everyone that's going to the live night on Friday, and there's 90 odd people booked there, there will be food from 6 o'clock. So the menu, and you can have that downstairs in the lounge. The menu for that, there will be some homemade soup, chicken, veg, or haggis pakora, fish and chips, beef or chicken burger, some of Mr. Singh's pies, chicken boona, chili chicken, spicy chicken wrap. So if you're coming along and you're wondering about getting food and stuff like that, you can get it there. The lounge downstairs will be open from 6 o'clock. All you need to get in is just proof of your purchase from Eventbrite or whatever, because me and Kenny will be on the door, so we'll be able to take your names against the list that we have, and we'll get you all signed in. For there's 4 tables of 6 which are reserved for the people that have bought them as well. We will be selling raffles. There is a raffle on the night, which is a great fundraiser for our podcast, so hopefully you'll join in. It is I'm looking to see if I've got it sitting, because I do have it sitting somewhere around here. There it is. You do get one of these fantastic YouTube Trimiti overhead kick badges if you're into collecting these things. They're normally £5 at the shop, but you get that free, courtesy of Zenith Coins, if you buy 3 raffle tickets for a tenner. So that really helps us all as well. So, yeah, that's the kind of instruction available from. It'll be open from 6. Well, the bar will be open a lot earlier, but the lounge where we will be playing will be open from 6. Kevin Thompson will be joining us, so Kev will be on with us straight away. Kev should be there for 7:15, and as soon as he arrives, Kevin and us all, we'll all get going. So we're really looking forward to it. We can't wait to see everybody, and we're looking forward to it. The star prize of the raffle is, as well as signed and framed 4 lads sponsor shirt from last season, which belongs to Cathy Hill. So there's a lot of really good raffle prizes in there. It'll be a brilliant momentum for whoever wins that. I don't fancy your chances if you're going out in the drink after it, though, huffing that about. So we could possibly organise something with it as well, if that's the case. But really looking forward to seeing everybody. Kenny, thank you so much, mate. We'll be back tomorrow night. You'll have a tough task getting the old agenda going. You'll be praying old Drago arrives tomorrow or something happens, won't you?
Aye, well, I'll find something, mate. We always do. We always find something to talk about in Rangers land, don't we? But hopefully, I am. With apologies for the coughing. I'll make no apologies for calling cancer the B word, because it is. But apologies for the cough there. I have actually got the remnants of this cold and this tree pollen hay fever, which is mental. And I've never experienced anything like it. Actually, this pollen count is just bonkers.
Do you know, Kenny, you don't need to apologise. You're on here all the time, mate, and you've been a wee bit sick. You know, I did the Rangers review, as I said, I recorded it with them, and I'd taken an antihistamine, and I was so drowsy, right? And I literally yawned 2 or 3 times. I had to apologise to Derek, and people watching it were giving me pelters for it. And do you know what? It's real life. People don't feel great. People feel bad, and you know what I mean?
Stevie, I don't touch antihistamines for exactly that reason.
Knackered
It makes me really, really tired, really drowsy the minute I take one. And I had a bad experience with it in my work one day, so I've never taken them since. But this hay fever is bonkers this year. I've never experienced anything like it.
Well, hopefully you're fighting fit tomorrow. We'll be back at 7 o'clock, folks. Kenny, one before you go, just a wee question. If I say 4 lads to Kenny, will he give me a discount on a haircut?
Yeah. You need to book in first, mate. But yes, I probably would, actually. Yes.
There you go. That's your answer, folks. Kenny, of course, has a very successful business, Cave for Men, which you can find in Paisley. If you fancy a wee trim by the main man himself. and a wee discount for you. Who could say no to that? I won't be visiting, Kenny. Sorry, mate. It's not because I don't want to, or not because I'm not one of your very good mates, but just because I can't. So don't take it personally. Huge thanks to our sponsors, CBD Oil Scotland. If you save 4lads on there, use the code 4lads on their website, you get a massive 30% off. And you also get entered into the hospitality draw for 2 tickets versus Rangers versus West Ham this Sunday. You'll be watching it from the club deck in the CSD lounge, which is a £400 prize. So I really hope one of you will win that and go and have a magical time. Big thanks to our sponsors as well. Candid, who, Kenny, rumours are they're bringing a wee ice cream treat for the troops on Friday night at the live show as well. So
I've seen you and Scott in the chat. Gonna bring us.
Well, it's really for Pamela wants a tiramisu one. So he's listen. The man's a genius. Every time I turn on social media, he's got another.
He's a top man, isn't he?
He's
unreal.
Off he's not. I think he eats as much of it as he does sell it because he's crazy half the time. But big thanks to our sponsors, Candid, as well as LBJ Consultants, Elite Scooter Scotland, Metaclad, our official roofing partners, and our cosmetics partner, Cosmetics by Sharon. Please go and check them out. All the descriptions, you get a list of all our sponsors. If you could like and follow them on social media, that really helps us, because when we go to them at the end of the year and ask them to stay and things like that, if we can grow them and help them, even get a few bookings. See if you want to book in your girlfriends over at Sharon's and get a wee 10%. She's brilliant. She does all sorts of stuff. I might help her see if she can get rid of my chin. Maybe she'll help me do that, Kenny. But maybe she's not a miracle worker, but I can ask. But anyway.
What one?
Well, one of my ones, mate. One of my ones. I was doing well with the old weight loss. I'll need to get back to it. But listen, thanks very much. Yes, there was somebody asking, could you buy raffle tickets if not attending? Yes. If you want to donate or buy a raffle ticket, if you email 4lads@gmail.com, I will get back to you, and I will send you, I'll scan I'll take a picture of your raffle tickets and we'll get your name on it. And if you buy a tenner's worth, I'll send you out one of the wee Chermiti badges as well. We've got 50 of them to give away. So it's a huge fundraiser for us on the night. We don't really, ticket sales and stuff like that covers, costs and everything else. But for us to for Kenny's got a laptop dream that I'm determined to try and get him a good one and not one from Voucher. So yeah, you can, Scotty. So thanks for asking, mate. If you email 4lads@gmail.com, we can sort that out for you. Anyway, guys and girls, I've waffled on for a far too long on the end of that show there. We're back tomorrow at 7 live again, Kenny and I. So we hope to see you soon. Thanks to all our sponsors, but more importantly, thank you very much to everybody in the comments, everyone that follows, everyone that subscribes, everyone that is part of the membership, everything. We really appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully more positive signing news. Dragicevic will arrive at some point. I hope he didn't eat all that cake, although it looked pretty decent. I was hoping for a wee bit of sponge under there. That would have been cracking with all that icing. Number 22 in a 5-year deal, according to his parents. We know more from them than we do from Rangers. But maybe he'll be here tomorrow. Hopefully soon, folks. You have a great day. Have a great night. Congratulations to Spain on winning the World Cup as well. If you all remember, I tipped them from word go. Or maybe not. Bye for now. Take care, folks. The 4Lads Rangers podcast is sponsored by Candid, LBJ Consultants, CBD Oil Scotland, Elite Scooter Scotland, and Metaclad, 4Lads exclusive roofing partner, the Aesthetics Lounge by Sharon, in partnership with Black Rooster, Art of Gold, and Rangers Youth Development Company. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. 4Lads podcast is delighted to be sponsored by CBD Oil Scotland. Get a massive 30% off now for all their gummies and their oils. Go and check them out. These help with things like stress, anxiety, sleep patterns, mood, depression, even stuff like fibromyalgia. Go and check them out, cbdoilscotland.com. Use the code 4 lads to get a massive 30% off. You enter right now and you'll be in the hospitality draw for tickets for Rangers versus West Ham, Derek McInnes's first game in charge, and you will get that opportunity not only to get 30% off, but you'll also be in the draw for hospitality tickets for West Ham. If you don't want to use the website, you can come into either shop here in Thornley Bank or in Kinnan Park. It's called Bits and Bongs. You go in there, you use the code 4lads and you'll get a massive 30% off. We're delighted CBD Oil Scotland are sponsoring 4lads. Check it out and go and help yourself to some oils, some gummies with a fantastic 30% off.